Two countries reshaping what female power looks like in the 21st century aren't the ones most people expect. And the way they're doing it couldn't be more different. For generations, power in Germany and the United States looked the same: male, institutional, inherited. That assumption is now being dismantled, quietly, systematically, and faster than anyone predicted. Angela Merkel at podium, Wall Street women executives, German Bundestag female graduates, Silicon Valley offices, protest marches, boardroom meetings. When people talk about the rise of female power, they often focus on headlines. A record number of female CEOs, a historic election, a viral moment. But headlines are symptoms. The real story is structural. It's happening in classrooms, courtrooms, boardrooms, and legislatures. And in no two countries is that story more dramatic or more instructive than in Germany and the United States. Two of the world's most powerful economies, two very different political systems, two completely different paths to the same destination. Today, we're tracing those paths, not to declare a winner, but to understand what's actually driving one of the most significant power shifts in modern history. By the end of this video, you'll see why economists, political scientists, and global investors are watching both countries very closely. To understand the rise of female power in Germany and the USA, we need to start with something most people overlook. Power doesn't shift overnight. It shifts when the conditions that once concentrated power in one group begin to change. Education, economics, policy, culture. These are the four engines of power. And in both Germany and the United States, all four have been changing simultaneously for decades. The results are now impossible to ignore. Let's start in Germany. For 16 years, Angela Merkel served as Chancellor of Germany. 16 years leading the largest economy in Europe, through the 2008 financial crisis, through the refugee crisis, through Brexit, through a global pandemic. She was consistently ranked the most powerful woman in the world. But here is what most people miss about the Merkel era. She wasn't the cause of Germany's female power shift. She was the most visible product of it. Behind her, something structural had already been building. Germany's educational system had been quietly producing highly qualified female graduates for years. Women entered law, medicine, engineering, and public administration in growing numbers. And policy frameworks, parental leave protections, subsidized childcare, gender representation requirements, began creating pathways that hadn't existed before. By the time Merkel left office, the German Bundestag had one of the higher rates of female parliamentary representation in the Western world. Female judges were reshaping constitutional interpretation. Female executives were leading divisions of Germany's most powerful industrial corporations. The Merkel effect wasn't just political, it was psychological. An entire generation of German women grew up watching a female leader navigate the world's most complex geopolitical decisions. And they absorbed something fundamental. This is possible. This is normal. This is mine. Now cross the Atlantic. And the energy changes completely. In the United States, female power didn't emerge primarily through policy frameworks. It emerged through disruption. American women didn't wait for institutions to create space for them. They built new institutions. Today, women in the United States control more than half of the country's personal wealth. They have outnumbered men in college enrollment for over 2 decades. Female-founded startups, despite receiving significantly less venture capital than male-led competitors, consistently generate stronger returns. In culture, the shift is equally striking. The biggest touring musicians of the past 5 years have been women. Female-led media companies, podcasts, and digital platforms are capturing audiences in the tens of millions. Women pioneered the creator economy before it had a name. And in politics, while the United States has never elected a female president, women have reshaped Congress, state legislatures, and the judiciary at a pace that would have been unimaginable 30 years ago. Here's the part most people miss. Germany and the United States represent two fundamentally different models of how female power rises. Germany used structure, legislation, quotas, policy frameworks, institutional design. America used velocity, ambition, disruption, individual achievement at scale. Neither model is complete on its own. But together, they reveal something important about how power actually changes in modern societies. The workplace has become one of the clearest proving grounds for both models. In Germany, landmark legislation requiring large companies to maintain significant female representation on supervisory boards changed corporate culture at the structural level. Companies that resisted faced legal exposure and public accountability. Companies that adapted discovered something they hadn't expected. Diverse leadership teams produce better decisions. In the United States, no such federal quota exists. Yet the Fortune 500 has recorded historic numbers of female CEOs in recent years. Women lead aerospace companies, financial institutions, media empires, and technology firms. The pipeline behind them, women in MBA programs, STEM fields, and venture-backed startups, is fuller than it has ever been. And the remote work revolution, accelerated by the pandemic, disproportionately benefited women in both countries. Flexibility created pathways for women to build careers without sacrificing everything else. But the most significant shift may not be economic at all. It may be cultural. In both Germany and the United States, the definition of power itself is changing. For centuries, power looked like dominance, hierarchy, control, the loudest voice, the largest title. A new model is emerging, one built on collaboration, communication, long-term thinking, and emotional intelligence. Research consistently identifies these as areas where women, on average, demonstrate strong performance. In Germany, this cultural shift appears in political communication, more transparency, more consensus building, a governing style that prioritizes process over performance. In the United States, it appears in culture itself, in the stories being produced, the movements being built, the institutions being reimagined. Women in both countries are not simply gaining power within old systems. They are questioning whether those systems are the right ones. So what does this mean? This is where the conversation becomes more complex. Progress is real, but it is uneven. In Germany, the gender pay gap persists across many sectors. Childcare infrastructure, while improving, still places disproportionate burden on mothers. And in parts of the country, traditional attitudes about gender roles remain deeply embedded. In the United States, the picture is more complicated still. Women in lower income brackets and communities of color face compounding barriers that their wealthier counterparts do not. The pay gap is real, and for women of color, it is significantly wider. Reproductive rights have become one of the most contested political battlegrounds in a generation. The women driving this power shift in both countries are acutely aware of what remains unfinished, which is precisely why the movement hasn't stopped. Why this matters globally for governments, the rise of female power in Germany and the United States carries significant policy implications. How societies structure education, childcare, parental leave, and workplace representation will shape economic competitiveness for decades. For employers, the evidence is increasingly clear. Organizations that invest in developing female leadership consistently outperform those that don't. For younger generations in both countries, the shift is already normalized. The question is no longer whether women can lead. It is what leadership looks like when the people doing it have been consistently underestimated. And for the rest of the world watching, Germany and the United States have provided two very different blueprints. One built on structure, one built on disruption, both producing results. The future, the bigger question isn't whether this trend continues. It's what comes next. Will Germany's structural model inspire other nations to legislate gender parity more aggressively? Will America's disruption model continue producing female leaders at scale without formal institutional support? Or will both countries find that the remaining barriers, cultural, economic, and political, require solutions that neither model has yet discovered? Because the rise of female power in Germany and the United States isn't a finished story. It is an ongoing experiment, and the results will shape economies, families, and societies far beyond either country's borders. Which raises a question worth thinking about. If two of the world's most powerful nations are still navigating this shift, with all their resources, institutions, and decades of momentum behind them, what does that tell us about the scale of the transformation still ahead? And which country, or which generation, will be the one to finally close what remains open? Let us know what you think. Not who's right or wrong, but what changes you believe are shaping power in your part of the world.